Hello, learners. Hope you are keeping well. This is our fourth program on the revision. And as you requested, the 2019 paper. Uh, Unfortunately, there'll be one or two sections here or questions that I have done in my other programs. I was going to take it out, but I said, let's do the whole paper, okay, or the whole section as one to give you an idea of the flow. So you may have come across at least three questions from the past, okay, but we're putting it into a paper now to show you a whole question and how it flows. Okay, so apologies for that. All right. Another thing is that we're already starting to find a trend in the papers that sometimes not all questions are given a resource. We find the first questions like 1.1, 1.2 has got the same format for question 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We find there's articles, there's a variety of resources used, which also tells us that when we practice, we must use different resources. And there's little articles, there's diagrams, there's tables. Okay, we must get used to all that. We're trying, as I said, we're trying to get into the mind of the examiners and see how they're working. And another thing that we're finding is that when it comes to paragraphs, etc., or even little cartoons, that there's answers in them. Okay, and it also tips us on some of the answers that we give later. And I think once we're getting into this habit of identifying that, our geography paper becomes so much easier. Once again, I say it's important to, of course, study your work properly and smartly and be able to apply it. And we're finding that it's a common trend that runs through the papers itself. Okay, so let's see if the trend runs with economic geography also. Okay, and as I'm always mentioning, that it's important to know the strategies and the techniques used in the paper, and you'll be able to apply it for all your sections. Okay, so we picked up there that these are the common trends, and there's so much in the resources that gives us answers or leads us to answers itself. Okay, so let's get going. And as again, I mentioned, we're using the 2019 NSC November paper set by the DBE. Okay, so let's look at the first question. All right, and the first question here, once again, we see this trend. We're not sure whether this trend is going to be there all the time, but it seems that not all questions seem to have the resources, eh? And you notice the pattern here is similar to the pattern of for instance, 3 and 4 have the same sort of pattern in terms of the short questions. So prepare ourselves again. And once again, I know I've said this on so many occasions now. When we look at questions like this, it's important to look at the question and try and work out the answer uh, in any case, you understand. In this case, of course, you have to work out the answer yourself. All right, but let's look at the question itself. Match the statements below with primary. You know, primary is extraction of raw materials, etc., from the earth. Okay, secondary, the manufacturing sector. So it's telling you again, you need to know your concepts. All right, it's a conceptual approach. You need to know your concepts and apply them. Same sort of pattern, eh? And of course, tertiary economic sectors. Okay, it's 3 sectors here. All right, that's the services, etc. Okay, and you notice these sort of questions, learners, we must get the marks, eh? 7 out of 7, 8 out of 8. So let's look at the first question. And the first word, mining. You know, mining is extraction of raw materials. And without looking there, you know that it is the primary sector. Simple questions, learners. Just watch for the words, okay? Watch for the words. What if that said mining products are used to manufacture something? Don't just look at mining and then say, oh, yes, it's primary, but it's manufacturing. It can change. Just watch out. The examiners like to put in a few questions like this. Okay, let's look at this. This sector is concerned with the provision of services. Notice the words here, learners, the action words. They're just basically giving it to you. And once you see provision of services, you know it's tertiary. The extraction of raw materials from the earth's surface. Ah, you know this. You will be smiling if you had to write this paper. Primary, concerned with the processing of raw materials. Can you see there now? Although it's easy to get these marks, learners, be careful. Some of us do selective reading and they see the word raw materials. Oh, primary. But it talks about the processing of raw materials. And that's secondary. Can you see it? Now, we see electricity. What about electricity? What about it? Is it manufacturing of the electricity? Look at here. It says provision of electricity. You're providing the electricity. You're providing a service, which makes it tertiary. Okay, makes it tertiary. Here, the manufacturing of textiles, footwear, clothing. Examiners putting some examples in, but the main word is manufacture, and it is secondary. Contributes the least to the GDP, an out-of-the-box question. All right, you would have done things in class, okay, regarding the GDP, and in there you would have done it that the secondary, tertiary sector contributes more. Okay, and from your studies, the examiners put a question like that, and of course, it is primary that contributes the least. Okay, 7 out of 7. Nothing less, learners. 7 out of 7. If we read carefully, I'm going to go back to this one. Electricity, provision, raw materials, processing. The examiners like these words, and you see there's along the way as we go through this paper, you'll notice in the other sections also, there is this trend to add in words. So what did we pick up again? Reading the question properly will help us. We won't make those silly errors. Okay, and we come out of the paper and do a post-mortem on it, as I always say. All right, it's, I knew that when I didn't see the words. So be careful, eh? All right, I know I've done this before, okay, but it's part of the 2019 paper, and I do apologize, but let's see how we fit in. So in terms of this, the examiner has given a cartoon, and the heading here, the importance of food security. That's the emphasis here. And here very quickly, we see there's two guys, one guy next to the bin, one guy sitting, I think it's a shoe there, okay? One guy sitting very sad. They're all on the road, okay? And here it says we'll work for food. They're desperate, eh? They're unemployed, it seems. They'll work for food. Okay, and this guy's here, he's looking in the bin, possibly for food, etc. No hunger, only food insecurity. Okay, I'm going backwards here. Eh? Let's look at anything else. And the main article says, great news, you guys. The media says we're no longer hungry. Okay, we're just food insecure. Whoa, quite a saying there. We're no longer hungry, so it's saying that we're food secure. But in reality, these guys are just food insecure. Can you see it? All right, they don't have food. They're unemployed. Okay, so is it really food security here? You understand? Are they no longer hungry? Okay, so that's the cartoon that's brought through. Okay. Then, very quickly, Can you see? What is food security? Lots of times starts off with a simple question, identification or define or something along those lines, which leads you on to the next questions. All right, leads you on to the next questions. You know already. All right, food security is the access to nutritious food by inhabitants or a country, when a country is able to provide nutritious food for its inhabitants. Now, sometimes you may not put the word country, you understand? You may say for all, okay, but you notice something here. These words are underlined. Access to nutritious food. Okay, so don't go back to your teacher and say, but it says their country and its inhabitants. As long as you say there is access to nutritious food, you understand, for all. Okay, in some of you put it the full definition in order to live a healthy and productive life. It's fine, you can put it down like that, but remember the main words is access to nutritious food for all the inhabitants. Okay, that's the important word. So don't fight with your teachers if the definition is a bit different and doesn't have the word country in there. Okay, it's about nutritious food. Okay, let's go on. What does the use of the words great news, or why does the use of the words great news? Can you see I'm doing selective reading now? All right, I'm making my own thing. Great news, not align or fit in, that's it, with the message in the cartoon. Because it's actually not great news in the cartoon, eh? The men that are there, they are food insecure. So it's actually not great news that they're no longer hungry. They're really hungry. Okay, so it's a discrepancy there, right? Food insecurity is not great news due to the fact that the people still do not have access to nutritious food. The guy is looking in the bin. Okay, that means whatever scraps he gets, he's going to eat. Okay, people are still searching in dustbins for food. So how can you be food insecure, or food secure rather, to have your nutritious food? Remember, it's not just about food. You may find some scraps in that bin, which you may fill his stomach, but may not be nutritious food. Okay, and you can see people are still begging on the streets, and we picked that up. Okay, so what do you notice here examiners are seeing? All right, if we go back here, learners, maybe they're sitting here, but it looks as if they're begging. All right, on the streets. It says, will work for food. All right, it's a sign, and the examiners can see that it's most probably they on that road there. You understand? So answers are given. All right, based on that. The examiners do not leave out any possible answers. Okay, so therefore they're begging on the street for food. Even if there was food security, why would it not help these people in the cartoon? Right? Cost, isn't it? They're sitting, they don't have money. So can you see how obvious the answers are if you think carefully and smartly? It's reality based, eh? All right, you have to get from there. You see they're begging for food. All right, so can you see people are unemployed? They live on the streets. All right, they won't be able to afford the food due to high prices. All right, can you see the answers? Same answers, all right? Things that you know. All right, unaffordable for those living on the streets. Examiners give you the different ways. Okay, so don't be scared to answer as long as you answered properly. Okay, you can see if you wrote living on the streets, so what? So what if they're living on the streets? It's unaffordable to those living on the streets. Okay, so the main thing we're picking up here is that you answer properly. Okay, you answer properly, and therefore you answer fully. As I always say, I'm going to repeat myself. You're explaining this to someone who does not know geography and see if they can understand it. All right, that's what we say. Explain fully. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the answers. Okay, but you're getting the idea. In a paragraph, approximately 8 lines as normal, Discuss ways to improve food security in South Africa. That's your general question there. And again, we notice the trend, learners. All right. Yes, it says discuss ways. And once again, we pick up with this paragraph question. It can be answered. You know, you've done all these things, all right, the solutions to food security with your teachers in class or with me. You understand, in my videos, you understand, you've done it. So again, I'm emphasizing the point. Don't have a psychological block towards paragraph questions. It's simple. All right, I'll show it to you. All right. Use genetically modified crops to ensure higher yields. Can you see it? You've done genetically modified crops. All right. You've done those things of how we can overcome food insecurity. It's done in class. I've done it on slides here when I handle this question. All right. So all those answers are there. Once again, we notice, all right, what do the examiners want? Okay, they don't just say use genetically modified crops. Yes, once in a while in the memo, you may find some answers just come short. It's your luck, right? But generally, the examiners want you to answer the question. It talks about how it can help to improve food security or reduce food insecurity. So we can't just say use genetically modified crops. We have to say to ensure higher yields. There's more output because those crops are bigger, isn't it? Now it tells you that you assisting with regards to reduction of food insecurity, etc., or bringing about food security. You understand? It must be answered full. Can you see the next one also? Improve scientific farming methods will also encourage high yields. Can you see what the examiner wants? Tell us the question. The question clearly states, all right, apologies, ways to improve food security. So how will it do? If we say scientific farming methods, so what? What will it do? It'll create higher yields. Yes, that's an answer to improving food security. All right. Okay, look at this. More training and skill development increase large-scale farming. You know, farming on a large, those big farms. More skills, you get more farmers getting involved, producing on a large scale, more production. Can you see a full answer? Okay, a full answer. All right, we'll take one more here. Greater variety of crops grown. South Africa will have a diverse, South Africa has a diverse climate. So you grow variety of crops. You understand? And if sometimes, let's look at it in various ways. If one crop fails due to certain conditions, another crop will survive. Also, variety may create various nutrition, etc. All right. So I'm just going to do one more. Look at it. We brought in land reform programs. All right. Land reform from the settlement section, isn't it? Would transfer land ownership to more farmers, which would increase crop production. Once again, picking this up, and it's a good way to do it. That's all we need to do in paragraph questions. Why do we lose on our paragraph questions? Not because they are always that difficult. No, they are challenges, yes. You understand, but they're not problematic. Okay, where we lose marks is because we don't answer fully. And remember, if our answer is vague, there's no 1 mark. It's either 0 or 2. And this is where we lose the marks. You understand? We write the land reform programs and you say, oh, we've done it. You understand? No, you have not answered the question. How would the land reform program help with food, improving food security? Land reform program would transfer land ownership to more farmers who would increase the crop production. That is the technique that you need to learn and know, and you get your marks. Remember the man on the road who doesn't know geography, you explaining it to him. And in the end, he shakes his head and you ask him, what did I say? And he tells you exactly, and it makes sense. Okay, so that is it. Of course, as I mentioned, I am not going to go through all this, but the techniques that are involved. Okay, I think we've answered this one. Let's go to a next one. Okay, and I do apologize. This has been covered, but due to your request, I'm going to do it again. And this says strategies for industrial development. And as I said before, when I discussed this, it's Richards Bay. We haven't done Richards Bay. We did Richards Bay SDI. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, read the thing. You understand? There will be questions that will be similar and related to the SDI. Okay, that you will be able to answer. The examiners may give you a little more. So remember again, your 10 minutes reading time. Don't be selective before you read the questions. This can be actually quite an easy question. You never know. And another thing, you've done SDIs. You may do the Richards Bay and the Platinum SDI. Then let's take the questions, apply it to the other one, the Platinum. You understand? It's the skill that is involved. You understand? Take the same questions and see whether you can apply it there. Or similar type of questions, apply it and test yourself on the Platinum. You understand? You don't know whether it's the Richards Bay SDI, whether it's the Platinum SDI that is coming out, but apply your questions. Okay, so let's look at this. Richards Bay, we know. Okay, it's talking about Richards Bay. We can see it's a port. We can see the sugarcane involved here. Can you see sugarcane was one of the things, agro processing and things about the Richards Bay SDI. So it's similar. Oh, there's Mondi here. What is Mondi? Mondi is the paper production. IQF is the fertilizer. It's telling us all different types of production that's happening here. Oh, RBM, that's Richards Bay Minerals. The sugar mill is here, so there's manufacturing a lot. Hillside aluminium, Bayside aluminium, all found in this area. Can you see the RBM plant here? The Richards Bay mineral plant. Can you see? So all these things are being given to us here. Oh, what else? It tells us about the road network. Oh, the key shows us urban area, the CBD, okay, where it's found, the industrial areas, okay, all around here. Can you see it? So the key tells us main plants. It tells us about titanium mines also. Okay. Right, and there's a highway here, the John Ross Highway that's found in this area. So all these things are here. Learners have done this before, so I'm just going to highlight the main things. It's there. Okay, so we've picked up all these things. So we say, whoa, how lucky I checked it. It may say Richards Bay, but there's so many similarities with Richards Bay SDI that's found along the way. You understand? So there's similarities. So let's look at the questions itself. And remember, you can take the questions and relate it to the Platinum. In which province is Richards Bay located? All right? And you learn that. Can you see the SDI is the same? And I could say, in which province is the Platinum SDI located? Can you see? You can apply it. It's about strategies. You can take same questions and apply it, okay, to the Platinum. All right. So you know already it's in KwaZulu-Natal. There you are. You've learned it. Same thing with the SDI. All right. Give 2 examples of industries in Richards Bay found on the map. Can you see? You know already. All right. You got so many here. Just take it straight and put it down. Can you see it? Put it down. So these answers are basically given to you. We notice that trend, eh? Right, and we hope that trend continues because we're going to master our application and we're going to get these answers and we're going to smile while we write this paper. You understand? Because the answers, significant number of answers are there. So can you see it? And there we go again. Bayside aluminium, Hillside aluminium, all right, Richards Bay Minerals, okay, Mondi paper, taken straight from there. And basically you can see where it's along the Indian Ocean. So 3 marks are basically giveaways if you apply yourself properly. All right, let's go to the next one. Why is the area leading manufacturer of heavy machinery? All right, and sometimes in your answers, now you may not know all the answers. All right, that is why there's so many options, maybe in class or maybe from my slides also. I haven't covered everything. All right, but why is it a leading manufacturer? Maybe things like smeltering, etc. Maybe not covered. Let's look at it. Okay, let's look here. Many smelter factories in the area. Oh, all right. Let's look at the other answers. Raw materials needed for manufacturing are nearby. You would have done that. It has a good amount of raw materials. Sugarcane, titanium, whatever is there. Can you see it? So I could answer that. Availability of cheap electricity. You picked that up in the area, isn't it? It's in KwaZulu-Natal. Around there is a lot of coal mines, etc. All right. Availability of labor force. There's enough labor in the area. Well-equipped harbor. And in the SDI, you learn the harbor was nearby, and it's indicated there. All right. Good rail and road network to the PWV and Durban Pinetown. You've done those things. Can you see it? So even if you haven't covered everything, you understand? Your teacher may say, I'm going to focus on 5 facts of why this area and bring in this manufacturing. All right. So you must remember it's out of 8. Okay. So the maximum number of points you can put down is 4. Okay. So your teacher may say, I'm covering 5. And you notice here for 4 marks, you've got so many amount of answers that you could give. All right. Large amounts of available land for industries. You've done all those factors. So don't get scared sometimes when you look at memos, but I haven't covered this one or this one. You understand? But sometimes your teacher says, I don't want to overgive you stuff. I'll give you 5 or 6 because 4 is the maximum. Okay, that's another point we pick up. All right, that you'll be able to conveniently or comfortably answer that. How would the industrial development of Richards Bay be an advantage to the local community? It's bringing it into perspective now. It's making it more specific. Can you see the scaffolding from easy to a little bit more challenging? I don't like to use the word difficult because then it says, I can't do it. Challenging. All right, because challenges can be overcome. We know that. All right. So it's bringing it to the local community, to the people. And again, all we need to do is read. Learners, we need to read. Don't look at why would the industrial development bay in Richards Bay be an advantage. Whoa, I cannot read properly. It's specifically to the local community. And you've got the answers flowing now, isn't it? Provides employment and blah, blah, blah. You can go to town. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm using the word town. See, employment opportunities created in industries and infrastructure development. Once again, we see in some questions, maybe 1 or 2, that the examiners doesn't want comprehensive, but you answer everything comprehensive, right? You understand? 1 or 2 options here. All right. Now you can see employment opportunities created in industries, okay, and infrastructure development. Can you see where the examiner expects you to say where it's created? Don't just say employment opportunities, because it's explaining in the industries, in the infrastructure development. Can you see it? All right. They want you to give us or tell you where the employment opportunity has. And of course, if you employ, earning potential increases. So you can buy more, isn't it? You can buy more things. All right. So it increases the earning potential. More things are buying, more production in the area, more employment. All right. More development. Okay, the buying power of locals increases the multiplier effect, isn't it? How the money flows in the area or country or whatever. In this case, it's in the area there, all right, where you find buying power, more people buy, all right, because more people buy, more production, more industries, more linked industries, and the money flows through there. As more people buy, more employment, more industries, more linked industries, and then they will be able to buy, and if they buy, more production, more industries needed to supply them. Can you see it? Of course, poverty is reduced. The examiner has been nice here. I would like you when you're writing, because of people being employed or getting better employment, poverty is reduced. I want you to be writing it fully, eh? All right, although the examiner has been nice and they've given us poverty is reduced, but you don't, as I say, tata my chance. You put a full explanation and the examiner feels nice and gives you the answer like this, you're lucky. But what if it's a full explanation? You don't want to get caught like that, eh? All right, so I've done a few here. Of course, you'll have the 2019 memo with you there that you can use, but you're getting the idea of what it's focused on. It's focused on the community now, not just the advantage, general, not economic. It's more social and community based, a specific question. All right. Last question. Explain why Richards Bay would be attractive in terms of its infrastructure. Can you see? Question about reading this. Why would it be attractive? It's specific reference to infrastructure, not just attractive generally. So you must know selective reading. As I highlight, you highlight. You understand? Because you may have a different style of highlighting. Sometimes my highlight just goes through the whole sentence. Okay, you'll highlight, but the main words here attract in terms of its infrastructure to both local and international investors. So what is the infrastructure? Transport infrastructure, etc. That's what we see, the port and this and that will make it attractive. The linkages between areas. Okay. All those things you know, learners, it's only 2 points you have to give. All right, so let's go to this one. It has a well-developed transport network, rail, sea, and road. Can you see it? Okay, rail, sea, and road that it has there. You know that, you saw that, the Richards Bay, SDI, etc. In this case, it's Richards Bay. Okay, so we look minimum traffic congestion. Okay, where because of the well-constructed roads, the infrastructure has less pressure, so minimum traffic congestion, cheaper labor costs on the outskirts compared to the core industrial region. They brought in even labor now, the examiners are giving you. Okay, they're being very nice here. All right, so cheaper labor costs. The core areas, when you have your factories there or your industries there, people want more. You understand? There's a lot of people, there's high, in terms of payments, people want this competition between companies. Hey, you don't pay me, I'm going there. So in the core areas is a lot, but it's cheaper here. And it's specific reference to the deep port harbor, which will facilitate trade. Can you see what it's doing now? It's linking it to the infrastructure. You can't talk generally. You have to talk about the infrastructure. Okay, like this, it shows you can either put exports or imports, but the harbor, which is infrastructure, facilitates trade. It allows for good trade, cheaper transport for exports, imports. Can you see how we're going specific towards the answer? Okay, learners, that's what, and we have to write it in full. Don't just write a deep port harbor. So what? It facilitates trade. That's what makes people interested in coming to the area as international investors or local investors. Hey, I want to put my money there. This infrastructure is good. I'll get good business from it. Okay, let's look at another one. Notice the trend again. Learners, it's sort of no resource first, okay, but simple questions. And you notice the matching here. All right, and once again, remember the correct number and the correct answer next to it. Very, very important. All right, and you put the letter down, nothing else. And again, in this case, longer explanations. Don't look at this column first. Look at this column. And remember what I taught you? try and get the answer before you look at the options. All right. And the options, then when you look and you find it, it confirms it. Like exchange of goods and services between countries. If I think about when countries exchange services, they buy and sell services, etc., that is trade, isn't it? So there's trade. Yeah, that's how I work it out. And it's D, remember? Okay. Income generated by a country by means of exports. We're getting that money in. We know what it is. Money coming in different in the dollars, etc. is foreign exchange. Okay, there we are. That's how we work it out, learners. All right. Facilitates movement of people, goods, information from one place to another. What takes people around? Okay, they get transported, isn't it? That's how you make it out. Let me see if there's anything here. Yes, transport network. All right, can you see it? All right, so transport network refers to goods that are brought into the country. That means we're buying the goods, we're importing them. And of course, let's look at our answer. It's I, and it's imports. But I'm working these answers out before that. There will be occasions when I'm not sure, and I may have a slight inclination or no inclination. By that stage, I hold on with that one. You understand? I don't answer that one yet. I try and answer all the ones I know, and I keep highlighting. And then eventually I come back to that very challenging one. Say, whoa, that's the only option left. Or there's two options I have to choose between two. I make a better choice. So if something is a little heavy, you understand, maybe go and answer the other ones, leave space there, and then you come back to it. All right. Legally registered businesses. All right. You know that when it's formal, informal, okay, sectors, when it's registered, it is formal. All right. And then also known as the domestic market. That's a simple one. The domestic, it's at home, isn't it? It's at home. So it is the home market. The word there was domestic. All right. Total values of goods and services produced by a country. You understand? By a country. All right. For a year. All right. It should be, I know it's a bit within the borders of a country by citizens and non-citizens. Okay, but it doesn't talk about, it's a bit off there. Which one should I actually choose? It doesn't talk about produced outside. Okay, so it's a bit vague, but the best option here would be, because it talks by a country, it is GDP. Can you see how you make it out? It doesn't talk about produced outside by citizens, etc. It just says produced by a country, and you can still work that one out also. All right, then the last one is value added raw materials, value added to raw materials by means of processing. All right, remember it's explained slightly different, okay, where you replace imported goods by producing your own. All right, now I'm not sure. I'm saying now, whoa, value added by raw materials by means of processing. Okay, I think it's beneficiation. I'm not 100%. It doesn't replace the export, but it can. If you're producing, you're improving the value of it. So let me see what options are left. Is GNP? No way. All right. If I'm not sure, it has to be beneficiation. Can you see how the techniques you can use, eh? Learners, don't forget. All right. Not that that answer is wrong, that it is, but I'm just saying you may have some doubts in your mind. You understand? And therefore you correct it. All right. And of course, you got your answer known as E. Let's look at the next thing here. South Africa's industrial regions, PE-Uitenhage, Nelson Mandela Metropole, that's what it's known as. Learners, I know I've covered this before, I'm putting into format here. And again, I know you may get the Port Elizabeth, Uitenhage area, or you may get the PWV region. Okay, so I'm doing the Port Elizabeth here, you may get the PWV in your exam. All right. But you know, you learn the type of questions, the strategies. You understand that they're asking you about the area, problems, positives, negatives about the area, giving you all these different things, and it can come out. You understand? You read the articles. All right. So I can take these questions again, look at similar things like this and apply it to the PWV, all right, Gauteng region. So what it gives us here, PE Industrial Region, Municipality of Eastern Cape, okay, population 1,263,051, okay, the size of it, okay, the number of people per square kilometer, okay, this was a community survey. There's the PE-Uitenhage area, all right, it's in the Eastern Cape. The PE industrial area, as I said, it's already there covering 1,957.6 kilometers squared. It's situated in the wetter eastern half of South Africa. Why is the wetter? That's a positive, isn't it? Can you see me picking up positives in this already? In the Eastern Cape. The major natural bay. Can you see how the article is giving us things? Wetter eastern parts, so good for water supply. Major natural bay, okay, for transportation infrastructure, seaport, and is an economic powerhouse in the Eastern Cape. Can you see how much you picked up? Main economic is manufacturing 25%, you understand, community 23, finance 23, trade 13, and transport 13. It gives us figures of the economic sectors. Eh? The automotive industry is one of the main contributors to the area's economic growth. It's telling us which one is the main one. The automotive industry is the big one. Okay, the PE-Uitenhage industrial region is home to two major automotive industries, Volkswagen and General Motors South Africa. In addition, there are over 150 component manufacturers. It is a real emphasis on this automotive. Eh? So the examiner, remember again, they have to make information specific. Okay, so it can be used. And now I've made sense of this. Let me go on. Okay, the infograph that is referring to top is on the PE-Uitenhage. Can you see again? In which province is the Port Elizabeth Uitenhage? It's written there, Eastern Cape. Answer for nothing. State the main industry, the automotive industry. Can you see it, learners? All right. Can you see? Answers for nothing. We're noticing this trend. The examiner wants you to interpret. When I say nothing, I don't mean it's nothing and you just go and write down. The examiner is saying, read the information and you will benefit. Okay, can you see how easy it's become? All right, next question. State two physical, natural features in the infograph that has contributed to the growth of the manufacturing region. It's specific. It's specific. It can't be labor supply. The deep port, yes, it's natural. Okay, some of it may be questionable, but that's a port there. You understand? So it's natural. So we can't talk about labor supply. All right, but we can talk about the port. Can you see the important things? These questions are not difficult. We need to look at the important, I call them the action words. And of course, two. So let's go there. There you see it. Natural seaport, Harbour, 1 mark. It has a more central location. All right, see the examiner is given the location also as a natural factor. Good. All right, it covers an area, okay, of quite a big area. So land is available. Can you see it? Natural. It's located on the wetter eastern half of the country. Isn't that natural? All right, I know which ones you would went for. You would have went for the natural seaport and you would have went for this. Meaning you would have just also just taken it from there. You say that's the real natural factors, all right? But there's a whole selection there which is correct. Okay, so we'll just go through and look at how easy you get the answers. All right, and you got another 2 marks. Now, let's go back to the questions. Why is the large population an advantage to the Port Elizabeth-Uitenhage area? All right, again, a specific. Yeah, it was natural. Yeah, it talks about the population and its importance to that industrial area. So our answers have to stick to the population, like labor supply, etc. So let's go to this. Can you see? Large labor supply. To work in the area, you need people to work. You don't want to bring people from far away. It's too expensive, not viable. You understand? In terms of time wasted, etc., people are there. So you have labor. And if there's a lot of people, you have a market to buy the goods. What a nice thing, eh? That you sell a lot of your goods in the local area before you send it out and pay for transport costs. You already made a lot of money in the local area. Therefore, a large buying power. Similarity between the two, but the examiners has given it as separate. You understand? So large buying power, the multiplier effect, etc., comes into action here. Okay, big market. All right, can you see it? And then explain how the industry in 452 contributed to the economic growth. Notice the pattern again, learners. Just means us reading. This one talked about the physical natural factors. This question spoke about the population. Yeah, it talks about the industry contributed to the economic, the wealth growth. It's specific, not social growth, economic growth. So answers have to be specific to that. Okay, so let's go do it. Provide sustainable employment for the local residents. Is that economic? Yes. Can you see it? Increased earnings that will benefit the local businesses. Because now they have more money, businesses prosper. Is that economic? Yes. The improved infrastructure, because now all these infrastructures are getting bigger, more business, more investment, port is even developing more facilities, will associated industries, you understand, even the infrastructure of the buildings, the power supply, all that will be getting bigger. You understand? So it will boost economic activities in the area. It will attract them. Can you see? All right. So all those factors from those industries will be there. Look at this one. Export of vehicles will increase foreign exchange. Is it related to the industries? Is it related to economic development? Yes, because our question states clearly how the industries in 452, you understand, which is your automotive industry. You understand, it's automotive. What will it do? If you're selling those cars, wouldn't it bring in foreign exchange? You understand? That's how we look at it. Okay, as I say, I'm not going to go through all the answers. I'm looking at technique. Discuss 2 challenges experienced by industries in Port Elizabeth region in comparison to regions like the PWV. You're comparing it. Now, basically, again, all these things you have in your notes, as I say, given by your teachers or in one of my presentations that I did with you. It's there. We just have to put it into context. So this one is a comparison to PWV. All right. So what it's saying here, 2 challenges experienced by the PWV, by the Port Elizabeth-Uitenhage area in comparison to the PWV. So you have to look at something that's a challenge for the Port Elizabeth area, but not a challenge to the PWV. And you picked up so many things. That's why it's nice to even compare your areas. Eh? There is a lot of coal and whatever, isn't it? In terms of power supply, etc. in the PWV. Maybe there's challenges in the PE-Uitenhage area. Can you see? So compare your areas, isn't it? So let's look at this one. Right. Lack of raw materials. That's one of the factors you did. Compared to the PWV, isn't it? PWV has a surplus. You know, you've done the PWV. That region has a lot of minerals. Okay, raw materials. Lack of minerals to beneficiate, all right, where you can take it and make goods, isn't it? Water shortages due to no supplementation by water schemes. PWV, you learned there is sort of seasonal droughts like in winter, but they got water schemes like the VAR, Chugela, Lesotho Highlands Project. Okay, Lesotho Highlands Project brings water in also. So all these projects bring in water. For the PE-Uitenhage, we don't have such a heavy water supply. Can you see it? So we're comparing the two areas. Can you see it? And of course, there's various things. So you've done this. So what else the examiner is saying? Hey, don't just do your work in isolation. Compare them between the two. Okay, see what's there, what's not there. So it's good. And we can apply all these questions to the PWV also. You understand? Like the port. We can ask you a question. What's the difference there? An advantage for PE-Uitenhage compared to the PWV. The PWV is an inland distance to the port, isn't it? And they don't have the port facilities right next to them. They have to transport their goods to a port like Durban, etc. Can you see we can apply them? It's about strategies always. I know I'm saying this 100 times. Okay, but you've got that. Let's go to the next one, the last one for today, the informal sector. Already in your mind, businesses that don't register, they don't pay the South African or the tax, income tax, etc. Okay, all that comes into your head. Let's read what they say here. This looks like an official, eh? Minister. Well, our official, he's very important. He's the minister, and we should ban street trading. He does not want to hear about street trading in the country. And fine offenders 5,000 rand without the option of going to jail. Don't put them, they must pay the 5,000. He's not very happy with the informal sector, the street trading specifically. You understand? This is the informal trader. He says, you are a foolish man. Okay, let's look at it. So he's looking at maybe the disadvantages of the informal sector, maybe taking money from the formal sector. You know, you have your street vendors in the front of the formal shops, and they are cheaper, they don't pay those rents, etc., and people don't visit the formal. You've done all this in your notes. Can you see it? You're just thinking and applying it. But on the other hand, he's saying you're foolish because those people that are in the informal sector, they don't have formal employment. You understand? So therefore, they're unemployed, they're poverty. At least they're doing something that will help them actually improve their quality of life. Plus, they will contribute to the economy. They may not pay income tax, but they'll pay VAT. Can you see how you're looking at just a simple cartoon that gives you hints and tips, and you start getting your work? That's what I talk about, applying. Okay, so let's look at how we can apply this. First one, define the term informal. You're noticing a trend, learners? A simple thing that leads us on to the next questions, brings out the main topic that's going to be questioned here. All right, and each question, each little semi-section brings it out again. Okay, so you know already, as we said, business enterprises that are not registered with SARS, okay, for tax purposes, do not pay income tax. They don't have their businesses registered. Remember, these are concepts, okay? As long as you got the important things of not registered, don't pay income tax, all right, you are fine. Okay, let's look at the next question. What evidence in the cartoon? Another trend we're picking up. If they're giving you sometimes cartoons or articles, they'll give you some questions. Not in all questions maybe, but in a lot of questions, they're asking you to take information from the resource, reading your resources again. Can you see? From the cartoon, what evidence from the cartoon indicates that the minister is not in favor, action word, not in favor of the informal sector. And you know, he wants to fine them, he wants to ban them. Those are the things that are straight in the thing. Can you see? Ban it, pay the fine. And all we do is we take it, ban street trading. Can you see? Fine offenders 5,000 rand without the option of a jail. Okay, and here it looks very angry. So the examiner is even given the facial expression or the body language of the minister. All right. But of course, they gave you this because he looks angry. But if you want to answer, you answer with the more definite ones. You know Tata Machans. Okay, the definite ones that's very visible. Don't try to say, I want to think out of the box. The answer is there. Take it from there and just put it. Don't start looking at other ones. Okay, the examiner has given it, but he looks angry. Give the definite answers. Don't fool around, learners. It's marks. Okay, so give the definite ones. Let's look at the next one. Suggest possible reason for the minister not wanting the informal street trading. All right, the informal street trading. And we know that already when we looked at the cartoon, we discussed it. Okay, it disrupts the formal business because they take away money. You know, when they on the side of the roads, it doesn't look very attractive. You know, all those things that you've discussed in class. Let's look at this now. But they give us here, yeah, taking business away from the formal businesses because they are cheaper. Clutter formal business areas. You understand, doesn't look attractive for the formal business because they're all around the area. Okay, it gives a bad impression of the area. Okay, don't think that it's a bad thing of informal trade, but maybe I shouldn't use the word impression, but people don't go into the formal business because they're all there and they're more attracted to these business people that are informal. Okay, informal business tend to be untidy, causing litter, health potential for health hazards. We discussed that already. Okay, can you see it? All right. They're unsightly and spoil the aesthetic appeal of the area. Okay, they're not always unsightly, but they can be unsightly also. Okay, where things are just spread around and no organization. Okay, the aesthetic appeal of the area. Of course, the list is long. Okay, pollution, high noise, you understand, movement of pedestrians as indicated here on the pavement. All these things are negative, and the minister doesn't want that. He says, no, it's not good for my area. Of course, you can read through the rest of it here, but you should have the idea. Okay, let's look at the next question. Give 2 reasons why the informal sector is important for the informal trader. Watch out. Why is it important for the informal trader? It's specific, eh? Not, some people see why is it important and they stop here. Then you start talking generally about the economy, etc. Can you see, learners, the importance of looking at the words? This question is specific of why it's important to the informal trader. And it's simple answers, but you can see the mistakes we make. We just talk about the general importance to the economy. Okay, so let's go. Can you see? It gives them income to support the family. Can you see the answer is specific to the informal trader? That is the difference. This is where we mess up. We don't be specific because we don't read the whole question. Can you see? It reduces poverty. Is it related to the informal trader? Yes. Major source of employment for them. They develop entrepreneurial skills. May not develop it in terms of a formal institution, but they learn about trade. You understand? Can you see it? Is it related to the informal trader? Yes. It reduces dependence on social grants because vendors become independent if they do well. It improves standards of living because now they're earning money. But it's all specific to the informal trader. Can you see it? Right? Or the informal trader. That is the specifics. So papers in geography are not difficult. We don't read properly. We don't highlight properly. And therefore now we start talking about the economy. It helps the economy because people spend money when they earn and therefore more things are produced. You don't read the informal trader. All right, let's look at the next question. Paragraph 8 lines. Discuss reasons for the growth of the informal sector. Why is the informal sector now? It's more general. Why does it grow? Okay, now we can come again with various options. All right, employment, etc. But we're going to phrase it differently. Okay, right, let's look at it here. The sector is not regulated. They're their own boss. Okay, if you look at the question again, discuss the reasons for the growth of the informal sector. Why does it grow? Can you see it? Now, why does it grow? Let's look again at it. The sector is not regulated, they're their own boss. Okay, so it's nice to be your own boss. You understand it? You miss all these overheads, etc. Poor legislation provides rules for this sector, or guides, not much rules that, hey, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, you have to have this health conditions, not many rules. Okay, so they just grow. This sector does not pay taxes. So if you're living borderline, you understand, and you pay tax, if you go to this place, whatever you earn is your money. You're not paying income tax to SARS. Okay, income tax is not there. So you get all the money for yourself. It may not be much. It may not be a bad, they're not being criminal now, remember. They're in desperate situation. And even if you're earning less, remember, poverty is not only when you're unemployed. Poverty is when you earn less sometimes. Therefore, you can't look after. And then you have to pay taxes or whatever is a problem. So this way you'll have more money. Okay, and goods are sold cheaper and affordable. So they do get their market. You understand? They do get their market. Can you see now? Why is it growing? What makes it grow? You understand? So by not paying income tax, not paying any overheads like pension, whatever, you understand? The money is yours, so it will grow because people are in desperate need of money. Many people are unemployed. You understand? Can you see here? Lack of employment in the formal sector forces people to look for employment in the informal sector or getting money from the informal sector by having your own business. Okay, learners, you would notice we picked up so many trends, all right, in terms of looking at the theory section. And remember, it's about strategies, it's about trends, it's about getting into the examiner's head to see how they're setting. It's about looking at how resources can benefit you. You understand? It's not just taking your book and learning it off from cover to cover. It's about applying it and learning these strategies. Learners, I wish you all the best for your studies. Goodbye.